Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
At 3:30. But once we get to the business.
Okay.
Make it all easy to see.
There's no reason.
Mask.
Okay.
However, where's it hearing me? I'm muted. There's an X. When I do this, now I'm not muted. It says 96, and I do this, and it says X. Am I muted now? I'm not muted now. Now there's an X. And my light is not on. My light was on. My light is on. My light is not on.
Mute this right here.
Oh, that mutes. While we're at it, I can never hear anything in this meeting. Nobody is hearing me say that. I can't hear y'all. I can't hear that mic. I can't hear these mics. And I certainly can't hear anybody from Zoom.
This one, 3:30?
Oh, you got it. Okay, good.
Good afternoon, Council. Mr. Brent Goldberg.
It's working now. It's on.
Karen.
Test.
Testing.
Oh, it's supposed to be red.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, May the 11th agenda session. Could I get approval of the minutes, please?
Vote to approve.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. With no objections from the council, the minutes will stand as recorded. Council, as a way of a reminder, and those that are joining us on our Zoom call, at the end of this month, we will discontinue our hybrid meeting and go strictly to in-person. So please make preparation for that. And also we will, in the month of June, as council needs, begin our strategic planning agenda. As of yet, I have nothing on the agenda, nothing from any council person. So if you have something that you would like to see or go over in strategic planning, please let me know at least by next week so we can get it on the agenda. All right, council, going over our agenda for this afternoon, ordinances on first reading. Madam Clerk, would you read 6A, please?
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 2, Section 2.3, relating to specifically holidays to add June 19 of each year as a paid holiday of commemoration, which is known as Juneteenth Independence Day.
All right, any questions or comments from the council? Councilwoman Hill.
One point, and I shared it with Councilwoman Coonrod, there is a typographic error that just needs to be corrected in that document before we vote on it.
Okay.
And she has that.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Under planning, items 6B through 6D, we did go over in Planning and Zoning Committee last week. Is there any questions or comments that we need to go over any of these planning items from last week? Councilman Ledford did a thorough job in going over each one of those. If not, we will move to E under Public Works, which was discussed also in committee last week. Any questions on this item? Okay. Moving now to resolutions. Councilwoman Hill.
Sorry, as I get more used to this system, I'll be sure to ask more of my questions during agenda. So this adjustment to the quality fee, I'd just like to understand better the My Tennessee program and what kind of discounts, like how people qualify for bronze, silver, and gold level.
Okay, that's, I'm gonna guess that's gonna be a Bill Payne question, and he has his hand up. Madam Clerk, would you bring in Bill Payne, please?
Good afternoon, Council.
Afternoon, Mr. Payne. Did you hear the question from Councilwoman Hill?
I did, Councilwoman, I'll be glad to send you some information from that program. But in general, it is a program that has been worked on sort of across the state and is being rolled out in different communities. But it's tailored here, and we have a partnership with a local nonprofit called Waterways to help administer that. So they recruit residents and try to encourage them into that. Basically, the different levels correspond with different best management practices or stormwater control measures that individual residents can install on their properties. And so by making some investment in how they control their stormwater on their individual property, then they can get these particular levels. It's been in place for a little over a year, and it's had some success. And we believe that offering these credits in conjunction with that program will help it be able to gain some more momentum and have more people that are interested in doing that. And so there's a gold, silver, and bronze level that can be attained under the My Tennessee program, and each of those would get course, increasingly greater 25% discounts on the annual stormwater quality fee.
And so for a single family home, that, just to repeat back to make sure I understand, that would mean that their wastewater bill would go down every month?
Their stormwater bill that is billed annually on the property tax bill would be what goes down. So this is the water quality fee for stormwater runoff. It would not have an impact on sanitary sewer fees, which are the monthly billed fees.
And so they would see a change, like, for example, if they have a mortgage, they would see a change in their escrow requirement.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And you said Waterways is a nonprofit that's rolling this out for us. How long have they been doing that?
I think we entered into our agreement with them I want to say in the fall of 2019. May have been earlier in 2019, but they've been working on the program roughly a year and a half to 2 years. And so they
Local founded or?
Yes, Waterways is. They are Mary Beth Sutton is the executive director, and they're housed over in the I was about to say their offices are over in the Mountain Creek area, but then I'm not sure if that's exactly where their offices are. But we have some projects going with them as well that are over in that particular area, but. They're a local nonprofit. They used to be under a different name called My. It was called Caribbean Sea, which was an unusual name, but they changed their name to Waterways in the last couple of years.
That's the one that the Gear Closet funds, correct?
I believe that's correct. Yes.
Okay. Well, this is really interesting. I'm so glad that you were able to explain that more. Hope that we'll start hearing more from Waterways. I am completely unfamiliar with that program, so I definitely want my constituents to hear about it. I suppose we can Google Waterways Chattanooga and find out more.
Yes, and be able to get some additional information from them. I'll also be glad to have a summary. Have the staff prepare a summary sort of the overall My Tennessee and our relationship with Waterways, and be glad to send that over.
Specifically, I think the consumer information would be especially useful to be able to share. So thank you very much.
Certainly.
All right, hold on just a minute, Mr. Payne. Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to expand a little bit, if I may. Councilwoman Hill's great questions. Bill, when you and I spoke earlier today about this, you were going down the list of the savings from roughly $130 with the gold, silver, and bronze levels to reduce it down to $95, $65, and $35 respectively. How are we going to market this program to the public? And is the city going to do it on our end, or is Waterways going to do it? And I think asking the question, how we get the word out. There is some infrastructure investment. I believe you mentioned to me earlier today that will be required by residents in order to qualify for the program.
Yes, sir. There is some, in some cases, some residents may already have some practices in place and they can get credit for those. In other cases, they may make some changes on their property to be able to qualify for it. As far as the marketing goes, we would of course include it on our lists of on websites and whatnot. But our partnership with Waterways is for them to market this for us and to help get it out into neighborhoods and into communities to let them know about Waterways. This would just be an additional facet that they would be able to use in that marketing. So the primary thrust of that marketing would come from Waterways, and they would include that in their materials as they're doing their outreach.
Okay. All right. I'd like to talk to you more about that offline if we can. Marketing part, obviously close to my heart. So thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands, we will now move into resolutions under Economic and Community Development. Madam Clerk, 7A, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development to enter into an agreement with Cecilia Luisa in substantially the form attached for the MLK Underpass Artwork Activation Program at the 600 to 800 block of Martin Luther King Boulevard in the amount not to exceed $90,000.
Councilwoman Hill, did you get your questions answered about that? All right, thank you. 7B, please.
A resolution approving the acceptance and distribution of fiscal year 2021 through 2022 Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Act funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and Program Income, all totaling approximately $3,255,472, as shown more fully here and below.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight, I'll be asking that we bifurcate that and that we deal with them separately. What I would like to do is vote to accept the money and then defer the disbursement. And I'll be offering that tonight.
Okay. I think I do remember several council people having questions still lingering and remaining about the
Yes,
distribution of the
sir. And
funds.
they're righteous questions. So I think I'm going to be moving to bifurcate that. tonight.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Sure. There have all, is my icon? Can you hear me? That's all. Yes.
I can hear you.
The red is showing, but I'm not hearing it. No. So what do we want to do here? I think it's on. Does that help?
I see some of them shaking their head. No, Ellis is saying no.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Can everybody, can you? So all along, there have been questions about the distribution of funds. And this has been going back since January. And there are some council people that still have questions. I don't think there's anything nefarious going on. They just still have questions. And it's kind of unusual to have a motion anyway that accepts and disperses. Usually you have a motion to accept and then the disbursements are separate because we have a fiduciary responsibility there. So I don't think there's any big, deep, dark secret here. It's just not well worded. And since people still have some concerns, I think we vote to accept it and defer the disbursements. They're rather large disbursements and council should consider them independently. Good? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions concerning 7B? All right, 7C, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to accept, if awarded, Environmental Protection Agency Brownsfield Revolving Loan Fund supplemental funding for an amount up to $500,000, requiring a 20% match from the city.
Questions or comments? D, please.
A resolution authorizing the activation of the Open Spaces Partnership in Animation and Community Enhancement Program to be available for use in all City of Chattanooga parks and open spaces for the cost of park rentals for organizations and individuals that meet the criteria set forth by Open Spaces for an amount not to exceed $50,000.
Questions or comments? E, please.
A resolution authorizing the interim city treasurer to amend by extending purchase order number 526211 to Harris Computer Systems for a 4-month renewal period of July 1, 2021 through October 31st, 2021 for the purpose of billing and collections of property tax for an amount not to exceed $58,501.
I still see no questions. F,
A resolution authorizing a revision to the employee information guide to provide additional language for reinstatement of all employees within 11 months and 29 days from the date of separation. This revision shall be applicable to all employees of the city within general pension plan and the fire and police pension plan.
and council, I think there is an alternate version on here, and I think that is the desired version this afternoon. Any questions or comments? Councilman Ledford.
Chairman, can you just go over what that change was in the alternate version?
Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir. The only change to the alternate version was to add one sentence that is referenced in the document on here that I guess a repayment of pension funds or pension benefits is not allowed for reinstatement under the general pension plan. It is allowed under the fire and police pension plan.
Very good.
You will have to change your ordinance if you do that.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you,
Good.
Chairman. Yep.
7G, please.
A resolution authorizing a new 12-month blanket contract with a 12-month optional renewal with Application Software Technologies LLC for continuity of current platform during implementation of cloud-based SaaS for an annual amount not to exceed $525,000.
Any questions or comments? Okay. Items H and I was covered last week during our Planning and Zoning Committee. Questions or comments about either of those? Those are in Councilman Ledford's district. Councilman?
Chairman, just so the council knows, when we move for the modification to the PUD was deemed to be a minor altercation or modification. So we've no need to go back through the process through PC.
Okay.
Thank you.
We did cover J and K last week during committee. Any questions or comments under 7J or K?
Your city attorney would request at least 1 week deferral on that item, on item K.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So item K, council, the city attorney has the need to review the contract. So if it would please the council, we need to defer that for 1 week.
Yes, sir. That would be enough. It's about a 54-page contract that we hadn't seen.
Sure.
Late last week.
Thank you.
Yes.
Under Public Works, items 7L through Q was also covered last week. Is there any one of these items that you have a question or comment this afternoon about? Okay. Council, if you would pull your purchasing questions out. Councilman Ledford, is that I'm sorry, you're good? Okay. All right, moving to purchasing, if you would pull your purchase items out, your list of purchases. And let me know if you have any questions about the purchase items for this afternoon. Councilwoman Hill.
Thank you, Chairman. Ooh, I can hear me now.
Yeah.
So question or just a little bit of conversation, I guess, about the emergency purchase of $36,712 for 4 weeks to house ill, homeless people. That's 42 rooms, and quick math for me told me that was $873 a week. And I wondered, in the work that the council's been doing to secure a more long-term solution for this, what is our weekly expected expense per room?
So this emergency purchase would be for 4 weeks total to get us through the 4 weeks until we can get more offers in from hotel partners in the community. One issue that we've had in the past is having some insurance that the city would cover any damages that may occur in hotel rooms. So that's part of the new bid that we put out. So we do expect to get more participation, and this would simply get us to, this is the cheapest price we could find now to get us through the 4 week period until we have the new offers to where we could do a new more long-term contract.
So from the previous bid cycle, do we have any concept of what that rate might come in at per week, per room? I'm wondering, is this high? Is this expected? As we start extrapolating out this cost, different ways that Chattanooga works through this challenge.
Yeah, Councilwoman. So I think the main thing here is that when we have gone to bid, we've been searching for a price that actually results in rooms. The good news is this is largely FEMA reimbursable. So ultimately, the cost of the city is going to be reimbursed by FEMA funds if we can get these rooms filled fast enough, regardless of what the room price is. But the problem is that FEMA is ultimately going to be most likely in July curbing the amount of support they would be willing to provide to the city, and they would say, hey, go use another bucket of funds, given that a lot of federal funds are flowing. So we want to take advantage of that as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I would just add, I don't think that this is above or below expectation. I think, we've constantly been trying to determine what the market will bear and what's available. May not necessarily answer your question, but we do expect to get, we will obviously go with the lowest and best price that we get that comes back in, but we really don't have an expectation one way or the other.
I look forward to your administration's holistic plan for and ideas around how we're going to handle the, rampant problem of homelessness and financial insecurity in our community in a way that helps people and is sustainable for our city.
Yes, definitely. We look forward to getting to work on that. I will say the one issue with this is, this is non-congregate housing, which is the biggest hurdle during COVID. Which is why there's a different cost, and it's just harder to do. Once we are able to move past the pandemic, and as we also start working on solutions for homelessness, I think we will have much more sustainable and long-term solutions in place.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you good, Councilwoman? Council, if you would look at your May 18th agenda. Is there any questions or comments about May 18th? Councilwoman Hill.
Thank you. Last week, my system wasn't fast enough, But this week I have color-coded Post-it notes by meeting. So yes, I do have questions, which will
Good.
help us for next week.
Okay.
Thank my colleagues for working with me on this. Okay, number 1. Item 6A, Finance. An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 2, relating to the appropriation and disbursement of municipal funds to nonprofit, charitable, and civic organizations, and relating to the approval for purchasing requisitions. So the way that I'm reading this, we're being asked to approve to delete the section in its entirety and substitute this new language. And so I would like to understand why we need to do this, what has changed that necessitates this policy change, and what's different in this one than in the one that we currently have on the books.
Okay. Councilwoman Burrs, Budget and Finance Chair. You wanna
Sure.
take this?
We went over this briefly last week. It's to bring us in compliance with state law.
Okay.
That's it.
And what is different about what we've been doing than this?
You know, I don't have that memorized, but
Okay.
maybe the city attorney can do that.
We have added in the provisions for E12, a provision that says each nonprofit organization has to do an application fee, and they will comply with TCA 654-111 to make sure that that is done properly. And for each nonprofit application under F, the chief financial officer will submit a verification form to the council clerk certifying that all items that are required here for nonprofits are provided. And that was requested as a result of an audit that was done by the city auditor last year, and we did this in compliance with the statute.
Okay, thank you. I recognize I'm a week late asking that question.
No
but
problem.
Again, thanks for
Good
for the grace
question.
on that. I have one other one, Chairman,
Okay.
if you want me to continue.
Now's the time to ask questions.
Okay. On item, well, actually, no, never mind. Well, yes. This is not a post-it, but is a question. Item 7C about the playground development at Southside Community Park. I would like to hear about that. That's an exciting thing.
Mr. Chief of Staff, do what? I bring Tony Salmons? Madam Clerk, would you mind bringing Tony Salmons in, please?
It sounds like it's going to be a terrific playground based on documents.
Good afternoon, Mr. Salmons.
Good afternoon. Could you repeat the question, please?
I am interested in knowing more about the playground at the Southside Community Park. And I might be more of a tell me about the park question than a tell me about the cost of the park question. I just want to understand, as a council person, what's happening in our parks.
Well, I would like to bring in one of our team members who can give you greater detail on that if you want more in depth. But again, what the partnership is allowing us to receive playground equipment for that location. It's been worked on for a while, but I can get you greater detail for that if you like. And I am not sure if one of the team members are available to come on right now, but we can get that to you as quickly as possible.
Well, I'm really interested more in the spirit of the whole thing. Like, Rakita, this is in your district, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And was it the result of a lot of community conversation with the Trust for Public Land?
Yes, it was. Chair, is it okay for me to go ahead and
Yes,
speak
please.
on it? Okay. Yeah, actually, it was a partnership. It is a partnership with Trust for Public Land. It's in connection with all of the development going on as far as the the South Chattanooga Alton Park connector. So it was a lot of community input. And actually, this was input from kids in various community programs that it's a park that had no playground. It was a new park. And everybody loves the park, but they wanted to add that playground in. And so that was part of the community input for that. So it's exciting and we're excited about it.
Yeah, that sounds great. How did the kids get to add their input?
Trusted Public Land is a wonderful partner to the community. So they actually came out and did programming with the kids through various organizations. And so they actually had the kids draw their perfect park. And we talked about what's in each park in the community. And so South Chattanooga was the one where they drew the playground and they asked them, what would you want to see most over here? And it's a playground. So they actually did with several organizations came out and did, I want to say like a play study, but they came out and actually brought different types of activities for the kids to do in the park before they actually got the playground. So it's been a fun journey, and I've been a part of that because I love Trusted Public Land. And so they've done a great job with community engagement. And it was something when they first came out in the Alta Park area a few years ago, they said that they were going to do it. And finally, they were able to raise the funds through private and public support to be able to finally get the playground. So we're excited about it coming in, and I've been excited seeing it on the agenda for the past few weeks. So
Okay.
it's
All right.
great.
I knew there had to be more to that story. That's
Mhm.
great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. And Chairman, my last thing is item. Well, I don't know what the 7I. It's an amendment to a resolution authorizing payment to Santec Environmental for Bradley County or Ray County landfill disposal of, this is what I want to talk about, biosludge and other special waste. And so the item itself is just adding a year to the contract with an opportunity to renew. But as a city council person, I would like to better understand solid sludge and special waste, where it comes from, what it is.
Well, you contribute to it, but.
I'm sure I do. So I want to understand that better, and why we send our solid sludge to Bradley or Ray County. So fill me in.
Let me bring Bill Payne back in, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, like, do we dig it out of our wastewater plant and we take it to Polk County? Is that what happens? Do we make it into
Mr.
fertilizer?
Payne?
Santec has some really cool fertilizer.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Hill wants to know where our bio sludge comes from.
And other
Well-
special waste. Let's not forget the special waste.
These are the questions that we live for in Public Works. So Councilwoman, thank you for your question. It's a great question. And all of this that we're talking about is generated at the wastewater treatment plant. And so in the process of treating the waste that comes to the plant, we wind up separating out the solid portions of that. And then it goes through a treatment process, which makes it suitable for land application on farms. Farms that grow crops like hay or tree farms or other things like that. It does not go on any sort of edible, crops of that nature. And so the vast majority of our biosolids actually are land applied in that sense, but occasionally, we do not have a readily available location. Those have to be permitted sites that we land apply to. So in the rare instance that we need to continue to remove it, because it does have to be removed every day, because of course we're always creating more and generating more. It does get hauled to a landfill that accepts that. And so these are permitted landfills. Bradley County is the first tier, and the one in Ray County is basically only if Bradley were to be unavailable for some reason. The special waste portion of that actually is separate, and so those are other items that are quite a bit of it comes from the screens that are at the very beginning of the plant, because there's lots of material that actually comes in which can't go through either the liquid or the settling processes. And so those materials have to be removed, and they just have to be landfilled because they're of no value for land application or any other purpose.
Okay.
So
Um,
the majority of that, of this is primarily would be generated from the special waste. And that's just a designation under the solid waste regulations of the
Okay.
state. This particular amendment, just to clarify that, the resolution 30355 had put the renewal in place. However, it did not clarify that the $90,000 was per year. And so when the purchase order was created in the internal system, it was the $90,000 was divided over the 3 years, which only gave us $30,000 of authority to spend for that. And it's not enough to get us through the full year. So we needed to correct the wording in the resolution. So thus the amendment.
Okay. So just special waste is stuff like dental floss and contact lenses and all the junk people flush that they shouldn't?
Yes. It also can be things that, that may make, because it is a combined sewer system in parts of downtown. There are other components that get in there. You'd be amazed at the things that make their way in. And if you'd
Okay.
love to learn more, I know our director would be glad to offer a tour if you're ever interested.
Oh, I want a tour. And I want a tour of the recycling center. But we'll talk about that.
Mr. Payne, maybe you could get with Councilwoman Hill and arrange for her to take a tour and an educational session.
Sure. And
Okay.
if Councilwoman Watley and Councilman Hester want to join, it would be a big fun thing. No? Oh my gosh.
Councilwoman
Everybody
Gottlieb
poops.
doesn't seem interested. I don't know.
It doesn't? Oh, I think it sounds fascinating. Okay. Good news. That's all my questions.
All right, you good? Councilwoman Coonrod, did you get your question answered or?
When she was asking the questions about the park, Councilwoman Dolly did a great job, but we have a previous council member, Chris Anderson, who done a lot of work around that park. So I was just gonna refer you to Chris Anderson if you had any additional questions.
Okay. All right, thank you. Council, if you would pull out your future considerations, you'll notice a little bit different format. At the end of each item is the date that we expect that item to appear on the agenda. Without going over every one of them, Mr. Chief of Staff, you got a comment you'd like to make, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Before we moved on, I did want to flag one thing. It looks like we need to defer both items J and K on tonight's agenda because they go together.
The police items.
The police items.
Okay.
Because one uses funds from the NRC fund, so it would be easier for us if we defer both items.
Okay. All right, sir.
Thank you, sir.
A comment about, you just, okay. All right. Any questions about future considerations? Councilwoman Hill.
My question really has more to do with the how of this document. So we got a Google document that we changed the names of different things. And one of them is a cool calendar kind of spreadsheet that will be moving things. So we've got a 3-week and a 4-week, and I just want to make sure that I look at everything appropriately. Can you walk us through how this document gets made versus the spreadsheet?
Yes. Do you all have a spreadsheet that you use?
We got a spreadsheet called, it has a catchy name.
Council
Coming
planning sheet?
Planning sheet. Yes, they got name changes, none of which include the number 3 or 4
Exactly.
and the word week,
Yes.
so I don't know which one is which.
Yes. So currently the council rules as adopted state that items can be added to the agenda 2 weeks from the date of the meeting by 11:30 a.m. Tuesday, 2 weeks before. So that's what, these two agendas for May 11th, May 18th are essentially those 2 weeks worth of items. And then, every 2 weeks we can add things. in order to be as transparent as possible with the council, we have the future considerations document, which we are calling future considerations. I think from our standpoint in the administration, there was some confusion around week 4, week 3, week 2, week 1, where technically the council rules as adopted by council only deal with 2 weeks at a time. So, and there are some things on future considerations which may sit there for a week or two. There's no automatic move from future to the agenda because something could happen. We may have an issue where it needs to be delayed. So what we have done to try to streamline the process on our side, on the administrative side, and hopefully on the council side, is we've created this document that we will update every Monday morning. Future considerations that's more than 2 weeks away. So this would be everything that we know about for the 25th and the 1st, June 1st. And we are listing those out simply so that council has a heads up on what's coming in the pipeline.
And let me expand, and this may be helpful. Our agenda is the council's agenda. So if there is an item on our future consideration that we're just not ready for it to move on to even the 2-week agenda, councilperson can say, I'm not ready for this to be on our agenda. And it gives you an opportunity to get a little bit more information before it even makes it onto our agenda for you to have to vote on it. So that's the reason we have it under future considerations, and whether it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks is sort of immaterial. The fact that if you'll look now on your future considerations, it gives you the date that it is planning to appear on our agenda. So it's just it does give us a heads up. The agenda is our agenda, and there shouldn't ever be anything on our agenda that we're not ready to vote on. So this gives you just a heads up of what is planning on being on the agenda if there's no objection from the council.
Okay. And then
one thing I'll just add to that, our goal is for nothing to end up on this sheet unless it's ready to go to council. So we are not putting items on here that are maybe or halfway. I mean, everything that's listed on here should be ready on the 25th or 1st, for example, in this case. It would have to be some extreme circumstance for us to say, we're not ready, and then of course you all may not be ready for different reasons.
So something that has been challenging for me looking at this document is that there aren't any links to further information. Is that because the further information doesn't exist yet?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's also not, it's not something that we should put out into a public meeting because it's not finalized.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. And so then the council planning sheet, those things may or may not come to us. What I'm wondering as a council person is how much I need to be trolling this planning sheet to be aware, or do I mostly just wait until it gets?
Yeah. My preference would be for you to only look at this document. The planning sheet could change 6 times a day.
Okay.
That's really a tool for us to
Future
use.
considerations is where you should focus your attention.
Got it.
The planning sheet's really more for
Internal
administration.
Okay. That helps a lot. Thank you.
All right. Any other, whoa, we got on. Okay, hold on. Councilwoman Burrs.
On what you were saying, actually, this future consideration was requested by council because we would get things on our agenda just cold. And we thought, no, wait a minute, this is our agenda. And so we give permission to put things on the agenda. And everybody was in agreement with that. I mean, there wasn't a we, they thing. It was how can we figure it out so that we give permission or understand what administration needed to get acted upon, if that makes sense. So this is really our idea, and administration has complied with it. I always look at this, no other planning calendar or sort of kind of, because things change so quickly. So that was a great question. And thank you so much, Chief, for doing this.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Chairman. So I was gonna just kind of follow with that suit. So the future considerations, when we get this in our email, we really should be looking and asking questions of the administration. This is what I use it for. I use this right here and I start reaching out and getting my questions answered, getting myself educated about this item, even though we don't have a link to it. This is a time for us to reach out to you all, the administration, and get a little feedback and background so that when we do come to council in the meetings, we either have our questions answered and we can proceed with the most efficiency. And I think that's what was the intent of it. So we would have a heads up and an opportunity to reach out to the administration. That's how I use it. And it's been very helpful. So.
Good, sir. All right. Any other question or comment about future considerations? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, moving to proposed legislation. Any council person with proposed legislation? Councilwoman Dotley.
Yes, tonight under other business, I intend to rescind the denial made for case number MR 2021-0038, rural abandonment due to additional information coming in. And I would like to defer an alternative version for 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, we don't have other business on our agenda at this time. Would you please have that added by 6 o'clock and list this item specifically under other business? Rescission of whatever the case number was. You've got it.
Case number MR 2021-0038, rural abandonment.
Okay. Councilwoman, thank you for bringing it to us at this time.
Thank you.
Any other proposed legislation that the council needs to bring before us at this time? All right, seeing no hands, it's my understanding, Chief, there'll be no departmental report this afternoon. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, I think that concludes our agenda for this afternoon. We do need an attorney-client privilege meeting.
Yes, sir.
So council, stick around and we'll ask all of you in the audience to please excuse yourself. And we will end our Zoom video as well.